Kiwi Ears, they are expanding into more product profile. They have been doing quite a lot of IEMs, especially in the past year, and now they're also doing dongles. What I have with me here is their first dongle, Kiwi Ears Allegro. Price at 60 US dollar, as you can see here from Linsoul Audio. This is essentially something which I would consider as an affordable dongle. And let's just have a look at the build and the configuration itself here. Okay, let me just, pay some attention to this. If you are a fan of retro PlayStation Game Boy, this is super interesting. You see here the design itself, entirely constructed of aluminum. Okay, this dongle is nothing like I have ever seen before, but let me just clarify this. Whatever buttons that you see at the front here, they are not functional, okay? They are just for aesthetic, just for the design sake. So it is aluminum and with some faceplate here. So this button don't do anything, and this very simple two button here are independent volume adjustment. And of course, detachable USB female type C. And have a look at this cable here, all right? This is, despite being relatively something which is considered as budget dongle, it comes with this premium looking cable, which is very nice. It's thick and also seems to be shielded as well. Okay, so, and it also comes with this 4.4 mm balance and 3.5 mm single-ended. What we're going to find inside, now this is another interesting thing. I haven't seen this being done quite a lot. ES Sabre ES9028Q2M. Okay, normally you would see a lot of ES9038Q2M, and this is probably like, I can't recall the last time I have seen ES9028Q2M being implemented even in a dongle. Okay, that is super interesting. Okay, I would assume that they belong to the same family, but the resolution is just slightly lower. Perhaps this is the main difference at 384 kilohertz as opposed to the higher resolution given by ES9038Q2M, and it runs on capable up to DSD256. Power-wise, now this is also another thing which I observed. Despite being largely large as compared here, I can even show you, compare against iBasso DC04 Pro, which is taller, bigger. This Allegro is thicker than DC04 Pro, despite this DC04 being taller, and the weight is slightly heavier on this one. Okay, so this thing, despite the look of being big and impressive like this, power is quite moderate for a dongle of this size, which is rated at 155 milliwatt from the balance and 75 milliwatt only from the single-ended. Signal to noise ratio is rated at 123. As usual, I always say this, anything above 110 dB of SNR tend to be very silent, and true indeed. I have tested it with some very sensitive IEM here, like this Truth Ear Nova, which is under probably like, very low sensitivity and a very high sensitivity and low impedance, no floor noise, everything pitch black. Okay, I already noted independent volume adjustment and very simple feature. The majority of my time spent listening to this Kiwi Ears Allegro. I must admit that I spent quite a bit of time attaching it to my desktop, running on USB 3.0, using 4.4 mm balance with this Sennheiser HD600 here. Okay, so I can clarify right now, despite the low rating that you have seen just now, this is surprisingly impressive enough with the actual power delivery that it was able to drive this Sennheiser HD600 300 ohm without any kind of issue. So there's even ample amount of headroom left, and at least for my listening sensitivity, I was able to manage to get a volume of at around 43 out of 100. Okay, when attached to my PC running USB 3.0, the host volume set at 100. So the headroom itself is pretty much, I would say, enough, more than enough, at least for my usage, and the sound itself is definitely does not sound like it is running from a dongle. But we'll talk a bit more on that after this. It also, same applies also when driven using this Hi-Fi Man Sundara, the second headphone, which I use quite a lot with this Allegro, still running on 4.4 mm balance. And talking about the sound presentation itself, okay, the simplest way that I would put it is that the most prominent thing which I observed from this Allegro is that the way it presents the sound, the timbre, and the balance of the sound itself from end to end, the frequency range. First of all, it is neutral, okay? It is mature and very smooth sounding with the dynamic presentation itself, okay? And most importantly, the timbre balance. This is definitely one of the dongle which I consider as being natural and organic sounding. Analog, in fact, yes. Because when I use this transparent sounding Sennheiser HD600, this Sennheiser HD600 was presenting to me the sort of sound which I consider as being smooth. All right. At the same time, ample amount of analytical element to it. It is highly musical as it is resolving. Okay, and it is true indeed. When I attach later on using my Kinera Idun Golden here, which is my neutral reference, this thing is super flat. Okay, it will reveal everything, the nature of the deck you attach it to, and the same can be said also to this Atimotic ER2XR here. Both of them exhibit the same thing, smooth. It is organic and definitely analog sounding. It gets even more interesting as I test this Allegro with the remaining of my IEM collection, especially this Sivga Nightingale here, magnetic planar, my favorite. I use quite a lot of this Sivga Nightingale here with this thing, and also with this Truth Ear Nova, my favorite Harman Tune IEM, okay, and of course this Final Audio A5000. All three of them actually sounded warm when attached to this, Allegro, because like I said earlier, this is natively already organic and analog sounding. So when you attach a warm sounding partner to it, what you're gonna get is something which I would say that just musical, highly musical sort of output. But the good thing is that it does not sound outright warm. It is analytical at the same time. I am hearing proper macro and micro detail, okay, despite being, smoothed out end to end with the decay state itself. The way it handles the sub bass, especially, I was able to enjoy a smooth dispersal from mid bass all the way to the sub bass. So this is, again, I'm gonna repeat myself, smooth and organic sounding. Okay, and when it comes to usage, okay, let's talk about usage. When attached to my phone here, Xiaomi Mi 90, which is 4000 mAh battery. Okay, this Allegro somehow managed to score quite okay, not too bad, not terrible or not too good at around 10 hours of runtime before the phone runs out, driving this Tanjim Zero of mine here on 4.4 mm balance. Compare against the rest of the competition, as you can see here, this is not all of them. I have tested over 160 dongle. I am just trying to show you some of the top performer in dongle madness, okay? So, as you can see there, the total score for this Allegro is an impressive 84 out of 100. And pretty much the number indicated there, especially on the sound, is an indication how very well balanced this Kiwi Ears Allegro is. It is, in fact, if we were to check the comparison table within some of the top performer, more expensive performer, identical to iFi Go Bar. And the reason they are identical, they are pretty much similar in the way they present the sound, which is analog, fairly analytical and resolving. At the same time, all right, I would just simply say that, it is kind of like can be considered as warm sounding dongle, especially if you attach to a natively warm sounding IEM or headphone. And when compared against the rest of the competition, it is pretty much, the way you look at it, the way I look at it, right, being a top performer in many ways, about the only thing which I think could have been improved would be on the feature side of it and power efficiency. Compare against the rest of the competition when it comes to sound timbre or timbre signature, I'm gonna be repeating myself again. Analog and organic sounding, and this is how it looked like. Okay, when pitted against the rest of the competition. As you can see there, quite impressive, edging very close to analog organic sound at around 3 point, and sharing the same spot with Aune Yuki, Ibaso DC Elite, Colorfly CDA M2, and also Kain RU6 RU7.